Madam Toastmaster, fellow members, and guests. 4 important days in my life with titles. April 16th, 1969. Saul finds a career. I was a junior at Walt Whitman High School, suburban Washington, and there was an announcement came over asking me to come to the office. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. Turns out a woman had come from California and had a young 11-year-old boy, and she needed a young man to take care of him for 2 afternoons a week. And the president of the Student Government Association thought of me. That started a career that lasted for 34 years in special education. 23 of those years was in Avery County schools, and I worked there as a special education director and special education teacher, but throughout my career have enjoyed and really loved working with children of all kinds, but particularly those with special educational needs. October 15th, 1969. Now I'm a senior at Walt Whitman High School, and I met Nan Coltnow. She was a sophomore, just 15 years old, and our first date was 17 hours long. Because October 15th was the day of the Vietnam protest, the Vietnam moratorium. I picked Nan up at 6 a.m., took her to the church nearby our school where we had organized a march in protest. We then took a bus down to Washington, where a group of us protested again against the war in Vietnam, went directly to the gates of the White House and shouted our displeasure about the war to President Nixon. The whole day lasted 17 hours. We were married 5 years later and have been married for 37 years. The intensity of that first date, if one could call it a date, I still think that had an effect on our actually staying together and the way that we have bonded together and remained that way. We have 3 children. My oldest, Daniel, is an algebra teacher at Christ School, where he lives with his wife, Lydia, and 2 children, Ella, who is 3, and Noe, who was just born this past February. My second child, Marina, is an attorney in Raleigh. She's there with her husband, Justin, and their son, Henry, who was just born this March. They were born, my 2 latest grandchildren were born 40 days apart, so it has been quite a winter for us. November 5th, 1985. Saul gets elected. A little background first. In 1983, the family moved to Boone because I had just been hired as special education director for Avery County schools. Nan immediately became an investigative reporter for the Watauga Democrat. She uncovered a great deal of mismanagement of the town. The town attorney had actually worked it that ended up selling to a business that he had a part in, a city street, among other problems. I decided that I might like to run for town council when I heard that. So 2 years later, just 2 years after moving to Boone, I did run, but not just on the basis of government mismanagement. That's old hat. Boone was dry. Boone had thousands and thousands of Appalachian State University students who weren't. There were